Hi everybody and welcome into the SunDevilSource postgame show. I'm Ethan Tuttle, joined alongside Chris Cartman. We're here at Mountain America Stadium following Arizona State's 27-24 loss to the Colorado Buffaloes. Chris, for the Sun Devils, it's their first time being 1-5 since 1942. It seemed like there was some struggles throughout the game, but there were some instances where things were working out for the Sun Devils, but let's go ahead and dive right into it with your initial takeaways.
Look, I predicted ASU would lose this game by 3 points, 30-27. They lost 27-24. Very similar game to what I had anticipated. They are not generating any turnovers, and they also are not having the winning plays in key moments. That's really the difference, and that's kind of what I expected to be the case in this game. They go down, great momentum, touchdown. Troy O'Meary's like showing up. Trenton Bourguet goes well over 300 yards passing. ASU didn't run the ball well. He still got it done. And then you let up the biggest defensive play of the game, a 40-something yard reception right over the top. I'm not sure what happened. We were on the field in the other end zones. I got to go back and watch it. Dillingham said he also has to go back and watch it. That is what allowed the field goal to win the game for Colorado. Really frustrating if you're ASU's fans because they've been close in like 4 of their losses. Really into the fourth quarter, and most of them, if not all of them, and you're trying to grab onto something that keeps you motivated and engaged. They had consecutive home sellouts back-to-back for the first time in many years, and people are sort of clamoring for a win, not able to deliver that tonight.
The Sun Devils offensively delivered a lot. You mentioned some of the stats right there, and Elijah Badger as well, 12 catches for a slew of yards, I believe, over 130. But offensively, let's go into that. The team started off really hot. Trenton Bourguet drove the team down the field and punched in the touchdown. Then at the end, threw it to Troy O'Meary. So let's go ahead and get your thoughts on that. But it seemed like there were some struggles in the middle part of the game for the offense.
Quite a lot, really. The touchdown was the only 7 points in the second half for ASU in the final minutes. So that's a bad performance. They started out really strong, as you said, drove right down. I'm saying to myself, Bourguet, he's going over 300 yards. Probably throw a few touchdowns tonight. Colorado responded well. ASU was hitting on them on those the crossing type routes. They took that away. They changed to, I think, a little more zone coverages. Played a lot of like cloud, cover 2 looks. And ASU wasn't able to hit them on first and second down for enough things to give them some positive momentum on some of those drives. Too many negative plays, too many penalties. They had their offensive line. They got a couple guys out there who are not ready right now, and they each had penalties. They had some boneheaded mistakes. The Ed Woods was a mistake. That's not the offense, of course, but I just feel like when you're not running the ball that effectively, and they haven't all season. That's partly due to their offensive line and their blocking issues. That you almost have to be perfect if you start having negative plays where you go backwards. Bourguet under duress, gets sacked, doesn't have great play extension, escapability. Maybe his ankle's bothering him. He was banged up kind of coming off the field. So you kind of put that all together, and they had 6 explosives in the first half. This is a team that has the fewest number of explosive plays per game of any team going back many years, and they didn't have nearly enough explosives in the second half.
How much of a factor did the injuries play in this game, and specifically in the offense's performance? You hinted at Trenton Bourguet being under duress throughout this game. How much of that was due in part to the injury up front on the O-line?
So a true freshman, Sean Knobs, playing left guard. He gave up 1 or more pressures, also had a false start. Right tackle, Max Ihana-Chor is a junior college player, but really only played 1 real year of football prior to this year. He had a false start and some other missed opportunities. And those guys are playing because ASU has 5 offensive linemen on the sideline, including at least 3 who would be starters. Isaiah Glass, it's not out there. Emmett Boley, season-ending injury. Cade Briggs is banged up. Ben Coleman hasn't played all season after a severe injury before spring ball even started. And then Aaron Frost was expected to be a starter or maybe their top backup offensive tackle this year. He didn't play in this game. That is a major issue. It's not to give excuses, but when you're playing guys who otherwise wouldn't be out there, and it's the first year of rebuilding, you have 4 returning offensive linemen on your team, makes it extremely difficult. Trenton Bourguet, he's probably not 100% health-wise. Mobility was, as I said, he was limping off. Doesn't have that escapability there to get out of some plays, to extend, to buy time to throw the football. Of course, ASU has 2 quarterbacks that are not able to play right now. And I think you put that all together, plus Jalen Conyers didn't play much tonight. He was sick. Didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. He only had a few snaps. Even ASU starting center, Lee Fautanu, was playing through an illness tonight. It's really hard. It's really hard when you add that up and you understand that all of those things have cascading impacts.
For as much as Bourget was under duress, Shedeur Sanders was also under some duress from the Arizona State defensive line. What were you seeing from the defensive side of the football? They kept Colorado under 300 yards, which is pretty impressive.
We knew going in, Sanders getting sacked about as much as anybody in the country. Colorado 129 out of 130. Only 1 of 2 teams giving up more than 5 sacks per game. ASU had 5 sacks on the night. Really from the get-go, showed that they were going to pressure Sanders, not allow him to stay clean in the pocket and be able to dissect. I felt like ASU paired that with good coverage for the most part on the back end. A lot of nice plays by Ro Torrance, Ed Woods. Nothing was really given up, I don't think, by D Ford in this game. They had that really unfortunate late 40-plus yard pass that was allowed. Got to take a look at that. That's huge. That's 40 out of 294 total yards in the game, maybe 43. That is a fantastic defensive performance, Ethan, overall by ASU, especially when they're not generating turnovers. And that's the number one problem that we have right now for ASU. I think a lot of it is actually sort of random and luck. We looked at it. ASU's a minus 2.4 turnover margin. No team in a full season has been worse than minus 2.37 all the way back in the NCAA's history to 1984 of tracking the stat. And in fact, almost no year any team's been worse than minus 2. So the reality, 2.0. So the reality is that for whatever reason, because normally what happens is if you get a lot of sacks and TFLs, that's when you strip the quarterback. That's when the quarterback throws the ball. When he's under duress, into jeopardy, it normally translates to turnovers, but for whatever reason it's not. There have been drops earlier in the season. Sanders didn't put the ball in jeopardy today. That's good for him. But ASU really unfortunate to not be getting more of these impact turnovers to give their offense a short field when the offense is struggling quite a bit.
Let's spotlight Prince Dorba, the Texas transfer edge rusher for the Sun Devils. Had a terrific game tonight, I believe. 2.5 sacks, maybe even more.
Yeah.
What'd you think of his performance?
Clayton Smith, ASU starting defensive end, has had a bad leg due to being injured. Fresno State, I think, didn't play against USC, limited against Cal. Today, he also didn't play a ton. He walked off early, kind of hurt, came back out there. So Dorba wasn't even a starter. 2.5 sacks, as you said. I think he's going to be in the top 3 or 4 in the Pac-12 in sacks after tonight. Extremely impressive on his behalf. The guy who transferred from Texas didn't really get a lot of run there, and now he's out there showing out as part of a very good overall capability. BJ Green, I think people know, very good pass rusher as well. You can play him on the end, you can move him inside. Brian Ward's defense is an aggressive approach. I think he's doing a hell of a job, really. And I think that those guys up front, led by Dorba, are doing more than enough if the other aspects of the team were also up to par, that ASU certainly would have a couple more wins at this point.
So for the Sun Devils, moving ahead now on special teams, we saw that the punting situation did improve 2 weeks prior. There's a switch up there. So what did you see from that and just special teams as a whole in this game?
Yeah, so Josh Carlson had only 1 out of 19 punts pinned inside the 20 all season through 5 games. Tonight, ASU had 5, I think, 4 or 5. They had more than they had in the entire season combined to this point, and that's really impressive. The Charlie Regal, ASU special teams coach, brought with him his punter, who had a pretty good performance, and then also Cam Scadaboo had 2 punts that were inside the 20 tonight. One of which was wiped away due to a penalty, which I think was questionable. Kane Dillingham talked about it afterwards. They said one guy wasn't on the line of scrimmage. You should have been. I don't know. But the reality is that they did a very good job in the field position battle tonight, which had been a problem really throughout. The only thing was they gave up a long punt return. They had 5 or 6 guys down in a line, and they got outflanked because somebody didn't keep their edge. What the natural tendency is, you creep inside a little bit too much rather than staying out and making sure that that returner can't outflank you. You lost leverage. And so that was a very big play in the game. But otherwise, I think their special teams performed quite well. I'm not sure if that at the 52-yard field goal was blocked or not. What do you think on the field?
From my angle on the field, it looked like somebody had gotten a hand on that one.
Maybe.
I mean, and you could definitely tell, I think, just from the way the ball was spinning and it hit the ground. So.
Okay, it was a low kick. I'm not sure, 52-yard or whatever, but their special teams have been pretty good outside of their punting. And then tonight they showed up their punting, but they gave up the long return. And so, again, when your offense is so limited, you have to excel in these other components.
So where's ASU go now? Of course, we mentioned 1-5 for the first time since 1942. A ton of injuries still at play in key positions like on the offensive line. So what's next for the Sun Devil program, being so close to getting that win, trying to take that next step?
Got to get healthy, number one. They have several players who are very close to returning. Isaiah Glass among them. Cade Briggs probably is fine. So you get a couple of offensive linemen back. We'll see about others. But defensively, they're in good shape. I don't think anything's going to really change about what they're doing defensively. Maybe offensively they can take a breather, figure out some things that maybe inject some more explosives and or ability to create opportunities, avoid negatives on early down so they're not behind the chains and more third and difficult, fourth and difficult. But really also I think that they have to just stay the course. It's Dillingham said tonight, are you going to be a competitor or are you going to be a loser, right? You don't want to be a guy who's checking out just because things don't go well for you. You're doing this for the whole team for this season, for yourself beyond this, for what you're trying to build in Tempe. And the guys have to go to class, they have to practice hard, they have to do all the little things on a day-to-day basis. And maybe if they do, it can finally, in the aggregate, click over to a better outcome for them. They are very close, very frustrating for them and for ASU fans.
Yeah, we'll have to see here moving forward in the future, but that's going to do it for this SunDevilSource post-game show. For Chris Cartman, for Ethan Tuttle, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.